Hi, so I've been asked to go through questions 9, 10, 11, which are all based on the topics of transformation of functions, which are quite early on in the academic year. And in this case, we're looking at a type of graph called reciprocal graphs. So back at GCSE, you hear a lot about quadratic functions, which are the famous U-shape. We look at cubic functions, more so at A-level, but a little bit at GCSE. And there's also a type of function called a reciprocal graph. So the reciprocal graph is another famous graph with the shape actually looks something like this. Okay, and a reciprocal function is in the form of 1 over x. So the most famous one, just like the shape above, the graph starts at 1 over 0. Now 1 over 0 is infinity. If you say how many zeros go into 1, it's infinite amount. So it starts way up at infinity. And then as you start putting numbers in like 1 over, let's try 1 over 0.0001, we're still at a really big number. If I maybe get closer to 1, 0.05 gives me 20. And so we kind of shoot down at a really, really, really steep rate. And then when I get to x is 1, 1 over 1 is obviously 1. So we've got the 0.11 there. And then it starts narrowing or shallowing, I guess you could say, or plateauing, I think is the real word. So the bigger you get then with x values, 1 over 5 is quite small. 1 over 50 is small again. Okay, and we're getting smaller and smaller and smaller then the larger the x value. So that's 0.00002, I think. Okay, so really, really small. And what we find is that on the negative side of the x-axis, or sorry, the y-axis, we get this same pattern or same shape. Okay, so the graph never ever touches or intersects the y-axis, and we call this an asymptote. Okay, so you've got an asymptote there, usually denoted by a dotted line at x equals 0, which is obviously the y-axis. So that's reciprocal graphs. And then in questions 9, 10 and 11, we've got 3 transformations of this type of graph. So if we start at question 9, we've got 1 over, I just can find that now, x minus 4. So our function is 1 over x minus 4. So what I'd like to do is just go back to the original reciprocal function. This is f of x, 1 over x. So this one is going to be f of x minus 4, if we compare these two. So this is a transformation. It's a shift in the x-axis by 4, and it's going to be moving in the positive direction, because if you remember, we said don't trust your x transformations. So this graph is a shift of 1 over x, 4 spaces right. So we end up with our asymptote moving as well. So this is the line x equals 4, and then we can draw our function like this, and that is the graph 1 over x minus 4. Then for question 10, we've got f of x going to 8 over x plus 3. So this time we've got x plus 3, but we've also multiplied by 8 and the whole thing by 8. So this time we've got a shift in the x values, but now going in the negative direction, and also a stretch. Now because it's outside of what we would say the x value bracket, it affects the y values. And when we have a shift in the y values, we get a stretch and the graph gets steeper by a scale factor 8. So we find that this dip down happens even quicker in this graph. Now it's just a sketch, so we're not going for perfect accuracy. But if we just think now that our asymptote will have shifted to here, which is x equals -3. Now instead of having this sort of shape, it's going to be really, really steep, really tight to the asymptote there and then here. Okay, remember it never actually reaches 0, so get like that, just go really, really close to it. And this side then, really, really close to the asymptote and down like that. Okay. Finally then, question 11 is y equals -4 over, having not very much luck with this pencil today, -4 over x minus 5. So this time we've got a shift again of the x values, and we are stretching by -4. So the minus is a reflection of the y values because it's outside the bracket thing. Okay, so we've got a reflection going over the x-axis, and we've also got a shift, oh that's a plus, going in the negative direction for the x values. So let's draw that. Our asymptote is going to be at -5 this time. Make this a bit longer. And now, this time, rather than going like this and being stretched, it's going to be basically upside down. So it's going to go like this. And then this side, instead of being like that, it's a reflection, so it's going to be like this.